All right, today we're diving into something that's kind of the secret sauce for any successful project, project integration management. And we're going to look at it through the eyes of two totally different pros, the meticulous architect and the adaptable chef. I mean, seriously, think about it. You've got dozens of teams, countless moving parts. Things go wrong all the time. How on earth do massive projects, whether it's launching a rocket or building a new app, not just completely fall apart? What's the magic that holds it all together? Well, it turns out it's not magic. It's a discipline called project integration management. And really, it's just the art and science of coordinating every single piece of the puzzle, all the tasks, all the people, all the resources, making sure they're all playing the same song and moving towards the same goal. The best way to think about it, it's the glue. It's not just one more task on a checklist. It's this invisible, constant force that connects everything, making sure all the individual efforts actually add up to one cohesive, successful project. Now, to really get this, we're going to compare two worlds. First, you've got the architect. This is your traditional approach. They need a perfect, detailed blueprint before anyone even thinks about digging the foundation. Then you have the chef. This is the agile way. The chef has a recipe for sure, but they're constantly tasting, adjusting seasoning, and adapting as they cook. It's all about responding to what's happening right now. So every project has to start somewhere. Let's take a look at how our architect and our chef actually get the official green light to begin. You can't just start building, right? You need permission, you need authority, a budget, and a clear idea of what you're even trying to achieve. So how do you make it official? Okay, so the architect's approach is, you guessed it, formal. They use expert judgment to create a project charter. Think of it like a signed, sealed official birth certificate for the project. The chef, totally different vibe. It's way more collaborative. They use things like visioning workshops and a lean canvas, which is kind of like a one-page business plan to get everyone on the same page. The result isn't a formal charter, but a shared product vision and a starting list of features, which they call the product backlog. All right, so the project is a go. Now we move from the starting line to the actual journey. And this is where we see a huge difference between creating a super detailed map from the get-go versus finding the best path as you travel. So with that approval in hand, the next big question is, what are we actually going to do? And how are we going to do it? It's time to chart the course. And wow, the difference here is night and day. The architect invests a ton of time upfront to create one massive, all-encompassing project management plan. It covers everything. The chef, on the other hand, knows things will change. They create a high-level roadmap, but the nitty-gritty details are planned in smaller waves, in release plans and sprint plans. It's a concept called progressive elaboration. You get more detailed as you get closer to the work. But hey, a plan is just paper, right? A beautiful plan sitting on a shelf is pretty useless. The real test is turning that plan into something real. Let's see how our two pros get their hands dirty. The architect's team is all about executing the master plan. The project manager leads the way, using formal systems to track everything. The chef's team works in these short, focused bursts of energy called sprints. They use super visible tools like daily stand-up meetings and Kanban boards to stay in sync. And here's the key part, the output. At the end of every single sprint, they have a real, working, tangible piece of the final product. You know, no project exists in a bubble. The world changes, you learn new things, and you've got to be able to adapt. This next part is all about keeping an eye on progress, capturing new knowledge, and dealing with the one thing you can always count on, change. So as your team is busy working, they're not just producing stuff, they're learning. They're figuring out smarter ways to do things, what works, what doesn't. So what do you do with all that valuable knowledge? You can't just let it disappear. The architect is focused on documenting everything in a formal lessons learned register so that future projects can benefit. It's very forward-looking. The chef's approach, it's all about the here and now. Knowledge is shared constantly through things like team retrospectives after every sprint, mentoring, and pair programming. The goal isn't just to write a document, it's to make the team and the process better, immediately. Improving your process is awesome, but you know who's asking the tough questions? The people paying the bills. They want to know, are we on track? Are we on budget? How do you actually monitor the health of the project? The architect relies on deep data analysis and formal status meetings to create detailed performance reports. The chef prefers what they call information radiators, basically big, Visible charts that anyone can see at a glance to know exactly where things stand. Think burn-down charts and Kanban boards that give you a real-time, totally transparent view of progress. And here's a perfect example of one of those radiators, a burn-down chart. It's super simple. The vertical bar shows how much work is left. Across the bottom is time. As you can see, the team's goal is to burn down all that work over the course of the sprint, hopefully hitting 0 on the very last day. It's such a simple, powerful way to see if you're on track. Now, when you track your work that closely, you're bound to uncover surprises. A customer has a brilliant new idea. You hit a technical snag. A key assumption turns out to be wrong. Change happens. It's a constant. So how do our architect and chef deal with it? And this, right here, is a massive difference in philosophy. The architect sees change as a threat to the plan. It has to be formally requested, reviewed by a committee, a change control board, and then officially approved. It's a big deal. The chef, though, they expect and welcome change. They see it as a chance to deliver more value. Changes aren't a big drama. They're just added to the product backlog and prioritized along with everything else. It's a fluid, ongoing conversation. All good things must come to an end, so let's jump to the final phase and see how a project is officially wrapped up and handed over. The architect ends with a big formal closeout phase. Audits are done, final reports are written, and every document is carefully archived for posterity. The chef's world is a bit different. In a way, they've been closing the project all along, since every sprint delivers a finished piece of the product. The very end involves one last big retrospective to capture all the final lessons and, of course, the most important part, releasing the finished product out into the world. So let's just boil this all down. The architect's world is built for predictability. Think about building a skyscraper. You need to know exactly what you're doing before you start. Success is following that blueprint to the letter. The chef's world, on the other hand, is built for discovery. Think about creating a brand new recipe. Success isn't about sticking to the original idea. It's about creating something delicious by tasting and adapting and delivering real value in the end. Look, neither of these approaches is better than the other. They're just designed for different kinds of challenges. The whole point is to choose the right approach for the job. So the real question I'll leave you with is this. For your next project, do you need the certainty of a detailed blueprint or the flexibility of an evolving recipe?